Okay, Beshem Hashem Naseh V'Nasliach. We continue with Limud Koler Chasot. This morning is Purim, Tavshin Pei He Abo Alenu Letova. We're learning from Sefer Moed Lekol Chai, Rabbeinu Flaji Alav Shalom. This Siman Lamed Aleph that talks about Purim. So Rabbeinu Flaji Alav Shalom says that that I believe this refers to Morenu, Rabbeinu. What is this? This is Marchu. My mistake. Thank you. Marchu, Morenu, Rabbeinu, Marchu. Zechuta yagan alenu, Amen. Haya Ragil litfol be'erev Purim. Marchu was Ragil. He used to go to mikveh erev Purim, to go into Purim like Shabbat with Kedusha v'Tahara, Kemo Erev HaRegel, like Erev of the Regel, of the Shalosh Regalim. Chamed Daf, as it's, what is that? As Daf Ein Gimel. Not sure what is that refers. So that quotes where the places. Vesham, Timsa no sach tefillah letefillah. And Rabbeinu Flaji Alav Shalom brings where you can find a tefillah before going to mikveh on Erev Purim. Ye'uyan Sham, that is brought there, Ora v'simcha Yilbash bigdei Yom Tov kemo shekatuv Morizal. Morizal refers to I think it's quoting Arizal, no? It's quoting Arizal. Marchu is quoting. So on Purim, right, you need to wear your bigdei Shabbat, right? Right? Why? Because it's like a Yom Tov. Now it says Yom Purim, and not just those who wear Shabbat clothing on morning of Purim. Rather, wear it from as you go into Purim on Erev, right? So it says Beze minhag hara yeshno nasi beler Shabbat. That this is a wrong minhag, that some people do not wear Shabbat clothing on the night of Shabbat. They leave it till the morning. This is, if I remember correctly, also Rabbeinu Papa Alav Shalom brings the same thing also, that there are those people that wear Shabbat clothing when they want to go to shul. Right? No, one needs to go into Shabbat with Shabbat clothing. Right? Some, now we learned this before, some would take their Shabbat clothing to mikveh, and right after coming out of mikveh, they wear their Shabbat clothing. Right? I've seen Harav Eliyahu Netanyahu Shalita doing so. Ein bekundros daf chaim, v'hacha hu yoter kashe lefi hata'am. This is more difficult according to his difficult according to his reason. Hagam amadrigat Shabbat en lema'ala hemena. Now, what is this referring to? This is referring to, isn't Shabbat greater than Purim? So why are we wearing this Shabbat clothing? It refers to Esther Amarka wearing her Majesty royal clothing right before he wanted to go. Right, to Achashverosh. She wanted to go to Achashverosh. Mordechai Yasa Bilbosh Malchut. So too, Mordechai came to Achashverosh with Bigdei Malchut. Ech Yitachen Lichro Pesukim Halalu B'Megillah Bilbosh Chol. How can a person read these Pesukim in Megillat Esther without wearing Shabbat clothing, right? So that's a very interesting halakha, halakha Yudchet. Halakha Yudchet מי ייתן והיה לשורר אמת ואמונה, ויש בו 6 לשונות גאולה, לעומת 6 מישראל שנלחמו בעמלק. So how can a person say in the Emet Emunah of Arvit, if I understand correctly, that over there is 6 languages of salvation, Geula, right? The Umat Shisha, that is corresponding to 6 of Lashonot, the languages that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, wages war with Amalek. So these 6 against 6. Interesting. Halacha Chaf. Odem Tefilat Shemone Esther. Machriz Hashaliach Sibul Ananisim. Right? Halacha, even though that Alanisim, we don't, right, for Alanisim, if a person forgot to say Alanisim, doesn't go back to repeat Shemone Esther, Lachash, but nevertheless, before the start of Tefillah, the Shaliach Tzibur needs to announce Alanisim. Beyom Shushan Purim, Yizaher, right? And the day of Shushan Purim, are you cold? No, so you don't need to pray. You don't need to do it tonight, this morning, because it's Purim. It's happiness.
Yeah.
You wanna have the Hester Panim.
This is my cloak.
So it's not like the sisit that we cover
Purim.
our head.
No, it's the Purim.
I see your point. Okay. Beyom Shushan Purim, Yizaher Nami, B'mishulach Manot U'Matanot Le'Evyonim, the day of Purim. The day of Shushan Purim. Right? One needs to be also careful about Mishulach Manot and Matanot Le'Evyonim. Refers to Yerushalayim, those cities that they observe Shushan Purim. Vayomar bimrom tefillah leDavid, lamnaseach al Shushan. So instead of tefillah leDavid, like the Purim of ours, right, Yerushalayim and those cities that they have walls around it from the times of Yeshua bin Nun, right, they need to observe Mishulach Manot and Matanot Le'Evyonim. וסוד י"ד וט"ו הם דוד ושלמה, ולכן כרכים המוקפים חומה נגד שלמה שלא היה מלחמה בימיו. That the days of י"ד and ט"ו are observed, that is corresponding to David and Shlomo HaMelech, in those cities that had walls around it, right, in the times of Yeshua bin Nun, and that is corresponding to Neged, that's corresponding to Shlomo HaMelech. Shelo haya minchama b'yamav, that there was no war in his time. Right, so it's a connection to David and Shlomo HaMelech to these 2 days of Adar, Yud Dalet and Tetvav. Halacha Chaf Bet. Keshachal Purim Qatan Be'erev Shabbat. When Purim Qatan is on Erev Shabbat, right? Hagam the end darko le'echol basar be'erev Shabbat. Hen k'hayom hazeh le'echol lichodi ach lo yimalek heso b'shvil seudat Shabbat. Now today that we're going to have the Seudah of Purim, maybe we can relate this to this. When the Purim Qatan is on Erev Shabbat, this is referring to those cities that they have Purim Qatan, right? We have the actual Purim today, but nevertheless, one needs to be careful not to fill his stomach with food, right? Especially today that we're going from Purim to Shabbat, that our stomach shouldn't be filled with food, that we should have appetite for the Seudat Shabbat. That is why we should start our Seudah earlier today. Usually on Erev Shabbat, one is not allowed to have Seudah late. After the 4 hours, I believe. I need to look up the halakha. Maybe
after the 9 hours. 9 hours of the day, right?
9 hours of the day. 9 hours of the day, right? And that is provided when he's ragil to have bread, by the way. Right? If he's used to have bread. Otherwise, if he's not used to have bread, then on Erev Shabbat, he needs to refrain from having bread. So today is the exception because we need to have the Seudah. So it's very much recommended to start the Seudah on those years that Erev Shabbat is Purim, before Chasot Hayom. Right? Anyways, it's always good to start the Seudat Purim before Chasot Hayom. As the Halav Ben Sion Musafi Sherita says, that there is a He'ara of Purim that comes to a person after one has the Seudat Purim. But this He'ara stays with a person 3 hours. Unless if a person started the Seudat Purim before Chasot, then the He'ara goes the whole day. And it could even carry over to other days. וכן נמי כשחל ראש חודש בערב שבת. Also when the Rosh Chodesh is on Erev Shabbat, then what is it comparing? That a person needs to have, is allowed to have basar. Is allowed to have basar. Usually one should not have basar on Erev Shabbat, but if Erev Rosh Chodesh is on is Erev Shabbat. Now, if Rosh Chodesh is Erev Shabbat, then one is allowed. One more halakha here. Mi shechata bechilul Shabbat b'Shabbat zachor ulemacharato hu Purim mutar lahalkoto ve'aseh teshuvah ukikon da hutar malchut bePurim ken heliti besifrei זוטה נשמת כל חי, חלק אור החיים, סימן לא יוין שם, סימן למד א' יוין שם, בסייעתא דשמיא. Very interesting halakha. If a person did Chilul Shabbat on Parashat Zachor, so that is the Parashat Zachor was the week before Purim, the Shabbat before the Purim. Then the next day, Ulemacharohu Purim. And if the next day is Purim, it is permissible to give Malchut on the day of Purim, right? To make Teshuvah, right? And that is also comparable to the Malchut of the Purim, right? Ukegonda Hutar Malchut. So the Malchut is permissible on Purim, which is the day of Simcha, in order to make a person to make Teshuvah Shalema. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen. Amen.